All right. Hope you guys can hear me. Hope you guys can hear me. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back to Sunday Night School, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back to Sunday Night School. I hope I'm audible today. Go ahead, help me out, guys. Wherever you're watching from, let me see the comment section that hey, I'm audible. You guys can hear me. Last week we had an issue, so I had to break or I had to stop the broadcast because there were some few technical issues with my audio, and so I was speaking, I was on fire, I was going at 100 miles per hour, but only to find out that my audience were not able to hear me. So guys, help me out. Let me know that you guys are able to hear me, right? I want to be sure that you guys can hear me, right? You guys can hear me. So go ahead and put something in the comment for me to let me know and to check myself that I am audible. I am audible. I want to be sure that I am not talking to myself. Am I audible on YouTube? Can you guys hear me or not? So guys, help me. Help me know. Okay, I think my mic is working. I can. I did a test right now on my side. So all right. So welcome, guys. We don't have time. It has been an incredible journey for the past couple of weeks. This is day 6, right? This is day 6 of our digital economy conversation series, right? Day 6, guys. We are on a journey. This is day 6. This is day number 6. If today, if today, if today happened to be the first night that you joining me here on this channel, then I'm going to ask you to watch tonight's broadcast, but I'm going to also ask you to go back to day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and day 6. I think it will make a whole lot of sense, right? It's going to make a whole lot of sense if you go back like that. So if you go back and then you watch like that from day 1, day 2, day 3 coming, I think that is going to be of great help to you because we have been on a journey. We have been on a journey, guys. All right, we're gonna get started here. Again, I'm gonna ask you guys. So please, here. Our vision, our goal is that we share ideas here. So if you're here, please go ahead, share this broadcast to a family, to a friend. Be a blessing to somebody, right? We are not greedy. We are not trying to be greedy here at all. That is not um, that is not our mantra here. That is not our vision here. We are not trying to be greedy. I'm not greedy, right? Whatever that I know, um, um, I try as much as possible to share. So please go ahead. Go ahead. It's not going to cost you nothing, guys. It's not. It doesn't cost anything, right? It doesn't cost. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost $1. It doesn't cost a cent. It doesn't cost $200, $500 to share. So go ahead. Hit the share button. Share it to your family group, your friends. Schoolmates, whether high school, whatever, middle school, university groups, whatever. Go ahead and share that. Share that for me. Let's get a lot of eyeballs here so that people can be informed about what is going on. Let's get a lot of eyeballs here so that people can be informed. they can know what is going on here, what is happening in our world, what is prevailing, right? All right, so welcome back, guys. Welcome back. And then sorry, let me also apologize about last week as well. Let me apologize about last week. As we have this issue, I had a technical issue on my microphone at some point in the broadcast. I'm like, I need to check to make sure that I am being heard. And to my surprise, my audio was already gone, and people could not hear me. And it was later that I realized there's some comment coming in on YouTube and other places that I'm not audible. So sorry about that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. About last week. All right. So let's get going, guys. Let's get going. So um, the previous session, that is day 5, I believe that, yes, day 5, we talked about the gig economy. Oh wow, we shared a lot of information. There was so much that we unpacked on day 5 about the gig economy, guys. I was having a conversation with somebody, a brother, this afternoon. I was telling him that where we are and the kind of information that we are privy to, what we have access to, you cannot blame anybody for your misfortune. If you hear what I'm sharing and what you are reading yourself, what you're observing, and what is going around in our world, and you don't take action, you don't want to participate in what is prevailing. You can't blame anybody, right? You can't blame anybody for your misfortune, for your own condition, or whatever you find yourself. Well, right? So you can't blame anybody. Day 1 was incredible. Day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and then today, day 6, right? Sharing economy, right? Sharing economy. So we want to dive in. We want to take a deep dive into, exploring, this thriving economy that is called sharing economy. The sharing economy has become very powerful, right? Very powerful in a global trend, right? Global trend, reshaping how people access goods and services, guys. It's reshaping how people access goods and services by leveraging on technology. People can now share and utilize resources, right? Resources that they are not using, things that they are not, it's lying idle. If they have assets, they have properties, they have resources that are there that is on tap, is not being used. In today's world, on where what we call sharing economy, people are profiting. They're taking advantage of technology, and they're getting something back from idle and underutilized and unused asset and resources that are there, right? So sharing economy, we are leveraging technology. People can now use all these things from their homes, from their cars, from creating new economic opportunities and promoting sustainability. In this session today, we will explain what the sharing economy is, explore the global impact as we do, we did with the as we do over here, as we did with the gig economy, and then we'll discuss how you, the individual, how you that I'm talking to tonight, how you can participate and thrive in this new economic model, right? In this new economic model. Again, if you have not shared the broadcast, please do that for me. Make sure that you send it out. You send it out to your family, friends, and whoever you think will benefit from this. Let me put this on my status as well. Let me put this broadcast on my own status here, so people will know that I'm live. People know that, hey, we are already in motion. All right. Let's see here. Okay. All right. Let's get going. So let's start with the sharing economy. What is the sharing economy? And today, this is what we are discussing. We are discussing the sharing economy. So what is it? What is it? What is it? What is the sharing economy? In simple terms, I think we've been using a toy example. Imagine you have a toy that you don't use very often, right? Imagine you have a toy that you don't use. Imagine your kids, they have plenty of toys, cars, whatever. You have all these, equipment and gadgets lying idle, sitting idle somewhere. right? Imagine you have all these toys that you don't use often, and instead of letting it sit idle and unused, and then start gathering dust, right? You can let your friends borrow it, right? You can let people borrow it for a small what fee, for a small fee. That is the basic idea behind the sharing economy, right? That is the basic idea behind the sharing economy. So things that you're not using, things that you own, you already possess. It's not like you're now going to acquire it. You're not going to get it. You already got it, right? You already bought it maybe years ago, and you already own it. But it's sitting idle, gathering dust that you're no longer using. You're not benefiting from it. That is why we are saying that you can actually profit from this. You can start earning something back from idle and unused and underutilized resources, right? That is the basic idea behind the sharing economy, guys. People sharing things they own, like cars, homes, tools, and even time, right, with others who need them, right? Technology apps and websites connect people. Today, everything is on platforms. Technology is sort of, driving some of these things that we are sharing. It connects people to be able to borrow, to be able to create, efficiency in the way that we use some of these resources. So you guys are already aware of platforms like Airbnb, which allows people to rent out spare rooms and entire homes to travelers, and Uber, right? Um, I'll be surprised if somebody's here today in our current world, and maybe you're hearing Uber for the first time. Uber allows people to rent, also cars, right? Offer rights. You don't necessarily have to own the cars. Instead of everyone owning everything, right? We are now able to share and make money from what we already own, right? So sharing economy is not just transport like we know, like Uber and then Airbnb. There are so many. As a matter of fact, it cut across several other industries, right? Several other industries, but the popular ones are the transportation industry. So, like Uber, when you come here in America and you go to other parts of the world, Uber is you have presence all over the place, right? There are Lyft in America. We have something called Lyft. Over here, we have BlaBlaCar in Europe, Zipcar, and others. So instead of owning the car, relying solely on traditional taxis, people can share rides and rent cars for short term, right? Car sharing services allow users to rent a car for a few hours, for a day, or whatsoever. While ride sharing platforms connect drivers with people who need the ride, right? So there is the piece where you actually can rent it, and then use it for a day, 2 days, whatever. And there's the other piece as well, where you get connected to drivers who will come and pick you up from point A and then take you to point B. So that is the other part as well. This is very common around the world. Now, hospitality industry, right? This we see a massive impact in this area as well. And of course, that is where platforms like Airbnb, Vrbo, couch surfing also sit. So same idea like the transport industry. Instead of booking traditional hotels like people like we've known for years, right? Instead of booking traditional hotels, and these days I think hotels can be very expensive, and some of these Airbnbs are a little bit cheaper as well, right? They're becoming very cheap. So people prefer the Airbnb, and the people who also sort of love their freedom. They want to be able to do things like they do in their homes, right? So instead of booking traditional hotels, people can rent rooms, apartments, right? They can rent rooms, apartments, and even entire homes from locals, right? From local people through platforms like the Airbnb and Vrbo and couch surfing, etc. Right? Couch surfing offers free stays in homes, right? The host homes, right? Making travel more affordable. It's just like all the other ones, right? Same thing. Now, there are freelance and gig economy, tax and skill sharing piece of it as well, right? So there are platforms like TaxRabbit. Individuals offer their skills and services on a freelance basis, whether it's web development, graphic design, writing, manual labor. People connect through these platforms to get short-term jobs done, right? Very simple. We have peer-to-peer lending and crowdfunding. Peer-to-peer lending and crowdfunding. So again, I want you to keep in mind what we are talking about tonight, right? Sharing economy. Sharing economy. So examples of peer-to-peer lending. So financial services, they are all being impacted. They're taking a big hit as well. Because now all these platforms are, mushroom platforms are cropping up everywhere. They're popping up all over the place, right? Like Lending Club, very popular in America and maybe popular elsewhere in other places as well. Lending Club. We have platforms like Prosper, right? Prosper, Prosper, right? Prosper. Guys, am I audible? I hope you guys can hear me. Okay, all right, let's keep going. So Prosper, GoFundMe, GoFundMe, right? In today's world, the way we raise funds for projects, etc., has changed, right? If you have a project, you want to kickstart a project, whether in construction, whether in any area, right? Now, you do not necessarily have to cough out, the startup capital, right? You don't necessarily have to save money for years in order to be able to sort of build the capital that you need to be able to start working on that project, right? Today, platforms like GoFundMe, and there are other crowdfunding platforms like that. Essentially, people come together and then they bring money together. That is part of the sharing economy. They pool resources together, and when they bring the money together, they are able to execute on such projects, right? This is a huge part of the sharing economy as well. And then we have platforms like Kickstarter. Kickstarter is also another one. So there are so many of them. As we move along in this journey in our digital economic conversation, we begin to get practical, and then I'll begin to open up a web page, and then be able to show you guys how to actually sign up, how to register, how to be part of some of these platforms that we've been talking, and some of these individual economies that we've started sharing, right? So instead of going through traditional banks, right, individual or businesses can borrow money or raise funds directly from peers, right? So instead of going to the bank, and today's bank, sometimes you might not even get what you want. So instead of doing that, sharing economy, we are able to talk to our friends, we're able to talk to our co-workers, we're able to talk to our family members, we're able to talk to people that we know, we're able to connect with them. And what do we do next? We pool resources, we share the project idea, and if it sounds exciting, it sounds interesting to all the other parties, hey, we all come together, we pull resources together, and then we start working on the project. Easy as that. It's so easy and straightforward. Easy and straightforward, right? So instead of going to the bank and having several meetings, and sometimes the outcome might not even be exciting. They might even deny or decline your application for a loan for a project. Instead, you bring some of your friends together. And here I'm talking about, real, solid friends, right? People that you can raise money, people that they think alike, they know where you are going, they like the sound of that idea or that project, and they also want to sort of invest and own a piece of that project, right? Very, very important. So peer-to-peer lending, crowdfunding, they are all part of the what? Digital economy, particularly what we are talking about today. That is a sharing economy. Sharing economy, guys. Sharing economy. So peer-to-peer lending, connect borrowers with investors, while crowdfunding platforms help raise money for projects, right? Help raise money for what? Project, businesses, and other causes as you guys, know it or will like, right? So again, peer-to-peer lending connects what? Borrowers, right, with investors, while crowdfunding platforms help raise money for projects. So sharing economy, this is big, guys. This is very big. And there's a global impact practice to this. Crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending can be adopted by entrepreneurs, social causes, individuals worldwide, especially in places where access to traditional financial services is limited, right? So we can all tap into this. So whether you are in an emerging market like in Africa, developing countries, etc., or deprived communities, this is where we need to start from. We need to sort of adapt some of this idea and then begin to move forward, right? We shouldn't, kick ourselves, headbutt ourselves and think that nothing can work. There are a lot of ideas that are coming up that we need to sort of take advantage. All right. So we talk about transport, we talk about financial services, we talk about other industries, hospitality industry. They are all being impacted by the sharing economy. Office spaces is one. Office space is another clear example, another classic example. Now we have a lot of co-working spaces. Yeah. We have a lot of what we call co-working spaces. Co-working spaces. So there are platforms like WeWork, right? WeWork Regos Impact Hub, right? And so many others out there. So co-working spaces is becoming very popular as well. So how does co-working spaces also work? So instead of leasing an entire office, right? Instead of you, the small organism out there, small business person out there, right? Instead of you waiting for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years to be able to save money and to be able to get the kind of office that you want. Today, you don't have to save all that money because what? There are co-working spaces out there today. There are co-working spaces out there today. So if you want to work in the middle of the city, like downtown or midtown, or maybe in the middle of the business district, wherever you find yourself, if you're in Kenya, Nairobi, if you're in Kigali, Rwanda, if you're in Cairo, Egypt, you're in Accra, Ghana, you're in Lagos, you are in Abuja, wherever, Dakar, you are anywhere you find yourself, you want to work in the middle of the capital city, right? Sometimes it can be very expensive. And, I think real estate market is always like that. When you come close to the inner city, it becomes very expensive. When you are out of the city, it becomes a little bit cheaper, right? And so if you desire to have your office in the middle of the city, you don't necessarily have to break the bank for that, right? It's not going to cost you, an arm and leg for that. You don't have to break the bank, to be able to get office space in the middle of the city, like downtown, etc. Right? That is where co-working spaces come in, right? Co-working spaces come in. So even office space, real estate, this is happening. So sharing economy is happening right there, right there. Retail and fashion, right? Retail and fashion. You might think it is only transportation that we can sort of experience sharing economy. You think it is only hospitality that we know of, Airbnb, Verbal, couch surfing, etc. Retail and fashion, right? You can rent a runway, thread up, Poshmark. People can rent or resell clothing. I see our world is changing, right? Our world is changing by the second. Our world is changing by the day. Our world is changing by the minute, by the hour, by the week, by the month, by the year. We got to pay attention. People are renting. People are reselling clothing, right? People are renting the things that they were accessories, etc. If you have some, jewelry, if you have a jewelry that you think is expensive, the people can use it for whatever. People are renting it out, and you earn money from that, right? So sharing economy allow others to access high quality items without buying them outright, right? Sometimes you can even have the items, in a location, they rent it out, they go and use it for whatever production, and then they bring it out, and then they bring it back, right? They bring it back. So you allow people to access high quality items, whether it's clothing, fashionable stuff, whatever, they are all part of the sharing economy. Retail and fashion is part of the sharing economy, guys. Retail and fashion is part of the sharing economy, right? This model is very popular in the fashion forward, cities, right? But can work anywhere. It can be in Milan, in Italy, can be in New York, can be in Tokyo, can be in London. But begin to think about this, begin to process this. That hey, what in my small city, what in my small town here, wherever you are watching me from, right? I assume I'm talking to the world. I assume that I am speaking to the world. So wherever you find yourself, don't just think about the big cities and the big towns, and the big states and big countries, the advanced countries. No, think about your own place. What is there? What do you have? What do you think you can rent out to people? They don't necessarily have to own it. You own it, you rent out to them, they can bring it back to you in the area of being fashion and retail, right? This is very important. And then tools and equipment sharing, right? Tools and equipment sharing, tools and equipment sharing. Guys, this is also big. We have platforms like ShareGrid, like ShareGrid, ShareGrid. We have PeerB or PeerBuy, right? We have Fat Llama. There's so many platforms like that where people can actually rent tools and equipment, right? People can rent tools and what equipment. So you don't have to, if you're an artisan, let's say you're into plumbing, whether you're an electrician, well, any other field, right? You don't necessarily have to sort of, dole out cash, big money, save big money, go for loan, and then be able to get the kind of equipment that you need in order for you to get work. No, you know, you can explore all these areas as well. You can get the equipment, the tool that you need to be able to do your work. You rent it out. You rent it out. You rent it out, and then you go and do your work, and then you bring it back, right? You don't have to own it. If the equipment costs maybe 10 million naira, right? If you're in Nigeria, the equipment might call maybe whatever shilling in Kenya, right? It can be very expensive for you, maybe for a starter. You don't necessarily have to own that equipment. You don't have to make up your mind that you need to go and buy that equipment outright. No, that is not wise. That is not the best way to go. So, guys, in the digital world, digital economy, and what is happening in our world, we have tools and equipment sharing as part of what the sharing economy. So instead of buying the expensive tool or equipment that are rarely used, maybe you might not even use it every day, but you might use it for like a special assignment or special task or whatever within your framework of work. But you can borrow, you can rent that equipment, right? You execute your task, you get the work done, and then that's it, right? You borrow the equipment, you get the tool that you need. You don't have to own that tool outright. This is part of the sharing economy, tools and equipment. And for even people who also want to invest, you can look into the same area, look into construction, look into electricals, look into plumbing, look into all these other areas, and look at where you think that individuals cannot raise the capital to buy some of the equipment that are needed in there. You buy them, you rent it out to people for whatever fee, right? They use it. At the end of the day, they bring it back to you, or at the end of the whatever project that they're working on, they return it back to you. So whether it is camera, right? Sometimes some of these high-end cameras, very expensive cameras like the Red, right? People in the creative, when we get into the creative economy, we'll talk about some of these things, right? Proper. But there are cameras that are very expensive, but that has different capabilities and different functionalities that if you're in the creative industry, you might need it. If you're in a content or whatever industry, you might need it, right? You might need something like that, but you don't have to own that camera. You can rent it. Look for people that are renting this. Some of them might even be available in your own, locality or your local area, right? So whether it's camera, whether it's power tools, whether an event equipment, users can access high-cost items without the need for what ownership, guys. This is very important. Users can essentially, can access this equipment without the need to sort of, I own this. It's not necessary, right? You don't necessarily have to own it. You don't have to own it. You're not trying to, impress on anybody. Nobody's interested in that. We are interested in you thriving and doing well, right? So ownership should be second. Let's get the work done. Let's get a tax done, right? Ownership should be what? Second. Let's look at ownership, at a later time in the future. We can consider that. So this is especially useful in communities where lower access to capital for purchasing, costly tools, or for people who occasionally need specialized equipment, right? You don't have to own it, guys. I said it. Let me repeat it again, right? Permit me to say this one more time. Ownership should come second. Let's get the equipment, let's get a tool, let's get the work done, and then we can think about ownership in the near future, right? All right. Food sharing and agriculture, right? Food sharing and agriculture. There are platforms like Ulio. There are platforms like Crop Mobster. There are platforms like Food Cloud. There's so many of them. How it works? There are apps like Ulio that allows people to share surplus food with neighbors. I think this is a good idea. I think this is a good idea that we can maybe explore, in some places, right? If you have surplus food, you can share with your neighbors. Reducing what? Food waste. Guys, we need to reduce food waste. We got to be able to share with others. We got to reduce food waste. So farmers can also use platforms like, Crop Monster to share excess produce, right? So if you look at Nigeria, Ghana, and other farming, agro-dependent, economies like that, we need to start, coming up with platforms like that where excess produce, surplus food, etc. You can share, you can sell, right, with your neighbors, with others, right? This is very important. Community supported agriculture, that is CSA models, let people share the bounty of local farms, right? Very important. So this is a great solution for both the urban, the rural communities worldwide, addressing food waste while also what? Helping people access fresh local produce. This is very important. Now, we've talked about agriculture, we talk about, food, we talk about, tools, equipment, etc. How about education, right? You can share. We are not, education is not exonerated. We're not trying to take it out, right? We are not trying to take it out from what? The sharing economy. Platforms like Coursera, Udemy, Skillshare, right? Skillshare, that's the name, right? Yes, you guys can hear the name. Skillshare, Udemy, and Coursera. These are all great platforms where you can do what? You can share. The sharing economy in education allows people to what? To share knowledge and skills through online courses, right? If you're a teacher, don't sit down. Don't just talk about your bad economy in wherever you find yourself and how terrible maybe things are looking like. No, find a way to attract purchasing power from the global market, right? Find a way, use your skill. You didn't go to school for nothing, right? You didn't go to school for nothing. Find a way to build a model, build courses, record yourself, put it out, right? And begin to sell, begin to teach the global world, right? Don't just limit yourself to the small, tiny corner school or where, classroom where you find yourself. This is very important. So platform like Skillshare allows anyone teach or learn from others, providing access to education without the need for formal institutions, right? So anyone, anywhere with internet access can benefit from this model, making education and skill building more affordable and accessible worldwide. Guys, very, 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 very interesting stuff with the sharing economy. How about energy, right? How about energy? How about energy? You can share energy, right? In the sharing economy, we can talk about even energy sharing, right? So now platforms like or institutions like Vanderbron, there's something like that in the Netherlands, and then Sonnen community in also in Germany, Vanderbron in Netherlands, that is Holland. You know, platform like Vanderbron allows users to buy and share renewable energy directly from local producers, cutting out traditional energy companies. So if you're in Ghana, if you're in Nigeria, maybe the NEPA. If you're in Ghana, maybe ECG. You're going to cut them out, right? In solar energy sharing communities, households, with solar panels can share excess energy with their neighbors, right? So for those of you, if you've already invested in solar and you have excess capacity or whatever, begin to think about it. You can start sharing what? Energy. Start thinking about sharing what? Energy. Start sharing, thinking about what? Sharing what? Energy, guys. Start thinking about sharing energy. Start thinking about it, guys. Very, very important. Very, very important. Start thinking about how do we share energy? How do we share energy? Very important. Very, very important. So platforms like that, you can start sharing, right? If you have excess capacity, you have excess, solar energy coming in, share it, sell it. Sell the excess capacity, guys. Sell the excess capacity. Don't just keep it, for nothing. You don't make money from that, right? You don't make money from that. So this is another growing model, in countries focused on renewable energy. I know we are coming there. Ghana is coming there, Nigeria is coming there, and all the other countries around the world, India, and all these places. They're all coming there, right? We are coming to that point. We are not there yet, but we are coming there. I think there is, some good penetration out there in some of these countries that I just mentioned. And begin to look into your own market as well. Begin to look into your own market. Don't just, don't just think about the advanced countries, as I mentioned in Netherlands, like in Holland. Think about your own locality, your own local market, right? Think about that as well. Think about how you can change something, you can make something work, in there. So countries with focus on renewable energy, it can be practiced in any area with renewable energy sources like solar, wind power, allowing communities to become self-sustaining. This is very important. Now, all these things that we are talking about, you might think that sharing economy just started yesterday. No, sharing economy has been there for years, right? Sharing economy has been there for years, for years. To start, the roots of sharing economy actually go back to centuries, to the barter system. We all know back in this when we were learning economics in school, in high school, we learned of the barter, trade system, right? Go back to centuries, barter system, long before money existed. People traded goods and services directly with each other. It was all about sharing what you had, right? Guys, think about it. It was all about what? Sharing what you had. If you think about the barter trade system, you share, you trade in for something that you had, something that you own, something that you possess, right? It was all about what? Trading, sharing what you already had and getting what you needed in return. Sounds familiar, right? Does it sound familiar, guys? Does it sound that sound familiar? That is the earliest form of what we call the sharing economy today. Fast forward, in the 19th century, the 20th century, when cooperatives, started popping up, right? Cooperatives, organizations, and societies, right? These were formalized systems where people pooled resources. Cooperative farmers, you guys might be familiar with cooperative farmers, unions and other groupings like that, right? They were formalized systems where people pool resources together, come together, in their communities, building collective markets, in there. So cooperatives laid the foundation for shared ownership and collaboration. Just like, today's platforms, as I mentioned earlier from the beginning, we see that today. Now you jump into the late 1990s, right? When the internet, changed everything, where internet, the emergence of the internet, platforms like eBay, Craigslist appeared, allowing people to do what? To buy, to sell, and to share goods and services online. One of the platforms that when I first immigrated to the United States, platforms that I was not like shocked, but I like the idea of Craigslist. You can find almost A to Z everything that you need in this world over there, from hiring, from finding people to come and do a certain work for you, anything, you can think about anything, right? Craigslist. You allow people to do anything, share goods, services, everything that you want to have done, right? It became very easier than ever to exchange things, and the groundwork for the modern sharing economy was laid. Then came the big players, right? And then we all know from 2008, Airbnb was launched in 2008, making it possible to rent out your spare room, your home to travelers, etc. And then right after that, we all know the Big Bang, right? I call it the Big Bang. In 2009, that was where Uber changed the game completely, letting regular people use their cars to give rides, right? These companies pioneered the idea that you could monetize the things you already own, right? They sort of uh, put a spotlight on it. It became very common that, hey, whatever that I own, I could actually monetize it if I'm not using it, if it's underutilized, or if it's just sitting down, it's not being used at all, it's idle, and I can make some little coins here and there, right? Very important. So one major event that accelerated the rise of the sharing economy, wow, that major event, I know Uber and what do you call it? The Airbnb, sort of, they are very big. And so whenever we hear about them, we think that maybe they are the one that started the sharing economy. Yes, because of the advancement of technology and whatever that was happening at that time, um, they sort of make sharing economy very popular around that. But one major event that really accelerated the rise of the sharing economy was the 2008 financial crisis, right? So just like in the gig economy, when we talk about gig economy, there in day 5 video, right? With jobs disappearing and economic uncertainty looming, people started looking for alternative ways to make money, and then enter the sharing economy suddenly, renting out their homes, and driving cars and other things for cash, right? That was when it became very popular, right? It became very popular. And then the smartphone era. Then came the smartphone era in 2010s, or from the 2010s coming. We saw the explosion of mobile apps, right? From the smartphone era, where we began, building mobile apps. So apps like Lyft, TaxRabbit, Fiverr, etc. These apps made it even easy, right? They made it very, made it super easy for anyone to access or offer services on the go, guys, on the go. Now you could find a ride, hire a freelancer, or even get someone to run errands for you, all with just few taps, right? That is the power of the smartphone. And as these platforms grew globally, governments started paying attention by the mid 2010s, like around 2014, 2015 coming, regulators began stepping in to address, key issues with the sharing economy, such as issues such as workers' rights, safety, taxation, etc., etc. While companies expanded to new markets, they also had to sort of navigate complex rules and regulations as well. And then we all know the big one, 2020, when the pandemic hit, right? 2020, when the pandemic hit. While travel and sharing sectors face, huge challenges, other parts of the sharing economy, like food delivery, and freelance platforms, saw a massive surge. There was a massive surge around 2020. And there was a turning point that showed both the vulnerability, right? So around 2020, it was really at that point that, we're able to sort of, oh, okay, realize the vulnerabilities and the resilience of the sharing economy. Today, the sharing economy is still evolving, guys. And that is why we are having this conversation. We are seeing it, we are seeing it expand into new areas like co-working spaces, clothing rentals, as I mentioned, fashion and retail, and even financial services. I talk about crowdfunding, GoFundMe and other platforms like that, right? Co-working spaces, clothing rental, and even financial services. So it's clear that the idea of, sharing rather than owning is becoming a permanent fixture in how we live and work, guys. So, guys, this is very important, especially for us in the, that are in the, developing countries, guys. This is a very important conversation that we need to have, right? The sharing economy, like I always say, it's a global phenomenon, all right? But its impact, for me, I think that its impact is especially transformative, in the emerging market, right? In countries like India, Brazil, Nigeria, the sharing economy is offering new ways for people to earn income and access, services they might not afford otherwise. I've been to India about twice already. In India, rides like Ola Cab, they have their own type of, ride sharing platforms. There's one called Ola, right? Ola Cab, very popular in India, so allows people to earn, just like, Airbnb, allow people to earn money from renting their spare rooms and spare space, spaces, etc. The same thing with Uber. If you have a ride that is sitting down, that you're not earning anything, it's just gathering there, it's just gathering dust, sitting idle and underutilized resources and assets. It's time for us to be able to deploy. Let's deploy idle assets. Let's deploy idle, resources. Let's begin to make them work for us, right? So the sharing economy is helping people in emerging markets to bypass traditional barriers to ownership and services by enabling more flexible, affordable, assets, right? So I think for me, why I bring some of this conversation up, I think this is one route, right? There's so many routes, but this is one of the routes that, people in the developing countries, they can escape poverty, right? Escaping poverty through the sharing economy. In advanced economies like the United States, like in Europe, the sharing economy has become a lifeline for many, right, who are looking to escape poverty and improve their financial situation. So why can't the people in the developing countries also do same? We can do same, right? So if you're watching me from Zimbabwe, Harare, if you're watching me from Kigali, if you're watching me from, Kinshasa, if you're watching me from Kigali, Rwanda, if you're watching me from, Kenya, Nairobi, wherever you're watching me from Kumasi, Ghana, from Ibadan, Lagos, I want us to pay attention to what is happening, right? I want all of us, forget about the government. Let's forget about our government. Let's not complain about government. Remember, in Sunday night school, we talk about this on day one. The goal for Sunday night school is for us to be able to what? Create our own personal economy, right? Personal micro economy. So that it doesn't matter what is happening on the macro economy, where inflation and unemployment rates and all those indices and all those things are going against us, but we will still thrive. We will still do well. That is the goal, right? All right. So now this is very important. It doesn't matter whether it's private or public. In the if you think about it, you may ask a question whether is the sharing economy driven by private companies or supported by government. Primarily, the sharing economy has been powered by the private sector. So companies like Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, TaxRabbit, lead the way by providing the platforms where people can share their assets and services. However, let me also let me say this over here, that governments also play an important role, right? Especially in regulating this space. Of course, if you're just going to leave everything out to the private sector and then just do whatever they want, people will be taken advantage of, right? So we need a government to sometimes come in. So in cities like Amsterdam or San Francisco, for example, local government have introduced regulations on how often people can rent out their homes on platforms like Airbnb to prevent housing shortages, right? People are becoming very wise. A lot of people are also beginning to see that the advantages of putting their homes on Airbnb rather than doing a long-term rent for people. One of the things that some of my friends, some of the people that I know, they've shared with me is that, especially in the real estate sector, right? So when they rent or when they put their property on Airbnb, the maintenance is good. Why? Because people come in, they stay in for a short term, maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days, maybe 7 days, maybe 14 days, right? Not long, and then they leave. But when you have somebody sitting in there for a year, somebody leasing it out maybe 2 years, sometimes they leave your property in a deplorable state, right? So people don't like renting out their property to people for a long term. So I like how cities like Amsterdam, San Francisco, etc., local government, local authorities are stepping in to make sure that they don't create sort of housing shortage with all this advancement coming. But it's a good thing as well. So private sector involvement is growing as government begin to sort of understand how the sharing economy impacts local economies, employment, and housing market. This is very important. So if you're thinking about getting into the sharing economy, are there compliance? Yes, compliance is key issue in the sharing economy, right? Because these services often operate in a gray area between personal use and business, right? I take an example of the Uber or maybe Verbal or maybe Couch Surfing or maybe Airbnb, right? As an example, you come in with your personal asset, your personal property, and then you bring it to a platform where people can access these services. So there is some gray, shady area that sometimes governments need to step in. There must be compliance, adherence in there. So, for example, hosts on Airbnb must comply with local housing laws, and ride-sharing drivers must also meet licensing and insurance requirements. So there are regulations in all these areas. In some countries, as a matter of fact, gig workers in the sharing economy are pushing for more legal protection, like minimum wage and benefits. Right? It's important for participants in the sharing economy to understand local laws, taxation, and things like on and any platform specific rules they must follow to avoid penalties and legal challenges, right? This is very important, guys. Very important. Guys, this is huge. The sharing economy is huge. Let's look at the global view, right? Let's look at the global view. I know I have less than 10 minutes to wrap up with today's session, but let's take a look at this. In America alone, the US is leading, of course. Most of the economies that we started talking about, the United States is always like leading, right? Um, and they already, I think the share economy is almost like $335 billion in revenue. That is in America alone. Europe is, followed very, very closely, and then China, and then Asia, and then Africa. In Africa, the share economy is growing with platforms like Jumia, offering ride sharing and food, delivery services, etc., and e-commerce. As internet access grows, I expect that share economy will likely expand even more in some of these territories and some of these areas. So guys, take note. If you're in Africa, you're in India, you're in South Pacific Asia and whatnot begin to look at this very well. The market size is huge. United States alone, I mentioned $335 billion in revenue in the sharing economy, right? This is what keeps me up at night. I'm like, $35 billion in revenue annually. What is my share? What do I take home? What do I take home? Somebody type in the comment section. What is my share? I want to see that in the comment section, guys. Say, what is my share? In America, it is $335 billion. Somebody type in the comment section for me so that I can move on. I'm waiting. Say, what is my share? What is my share? What is my share? Somebody put it in the comment section for me, whether you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, wherever you're watching me. What is my share? I see it from Emmanuel Boyson. Say, what is my share? Guys, let's begin to ask ourselves, what is my share? What is my take here, guys? What is my share here? What is my share? Right? We need this. We need to have this conversation. Right? We need to have this conversation, guys. We need to have. The share economy is already a huge global market, value at over $1.5 trillion in 2023. That was just last year, right? That was just last year. 1.5 what? Trillion. 1.5. Sarah also say, what is my share? We need to ask ourselves every morning, what is my share? This is what keeps me at night. I go to bed 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I'm asking myself all the time, what is my share? What is my share here? Right? This economy is huge. 1.5 trillion, that was just last year. And it's expected to reach 2.7 trillion by 2025. That is just about 2 years, away. 2 years away. With increasing internet access, mobile technology and rising consumer trust and, the potential for future growth is significant, guys, is significant, especially in developing markets where access to assets and services is limited. So the share economy will likely continue to disrupt traditional ownership models, right? So people that are always thinking about, I own this, I own this, I own this. Guys, there's a disruption on the way. If it has not even started, right? There's a disruption on the way if it has not already been started. So the sharing economy is going to disrupt traditional ownership models, right? Business models that say, oh, own. No. Today's economy is share. That's how we thrive. That's how we become successful. So from transport to housing and beyond, guys, let's begin to think. Now, what are the resources? What are the resources that is needed to sort of be able to enter into this sharing economy, right? What do you need? What do you need to be able to enter into the sharing economy? I think there are some few things. Maybe one, access to technology, a smartphone, a computer with internet connection or internet access. I think this is basic requirement. Number one. Number two is what? A shareable asset, right? Number two is what? A shareable asset. This could be what? It could be a car. It could be your home. It could be a tool that you have that is sitting idle, or even your time and skill, right? Even your time and skill. Share your skill. Share your skill. Something that you know already. Why don't you profit? Why don't you benefit from it? So, either a car, a tool, or even time, and then your skill, right? Share it. For instance, if you have extra room, you can rent it out on Airbnb or Vrbo or couch surfing or any of these platforms. Or if you have a car, a spare car, whatever, you can put it on one of these, hail platforms as well. Digital payment. Many platforms use digital payment systems like PayPal, bank transfers, and whatnot, mobile money. So if you need access to some of these platforms to be able to receive payment, you need to know that. So these are, I think, the basic requirement, right? These are basic requirements that you need to be able to get onto some of this market. In many emerging markets, governments and organizations are helping people gain access to internet and digital tools. And I think I can testify to this. I'm a Ghanaian. If you're watching me, I'm a Ghanaian. I travel back home a lot. And when I go back home, I see, internet penetration, smartphone penetration. I think we have done so well, right? You go to Nigeria, and I think Nigeria will have the same kind of story as well. Penetration, when it comes to internet penetration, when it comes to smartphone penetration, I think we are really up there. So guys, we are not behind. We need to take advantage. So in many emerging markets, I think this is something that we need to pay attention to. Barriers to entry. What are some of the barriers to entry? While the sharing economy offers opportunities, there are some barriers to entry. Of course, limited internet access. If you don't have access to the internet, I don't think you'll be able to participate or you'll be able to get into this market. Number two is what? Legal regulatory barriers, right? If there are laws that limit some of these things, like I mentioned with Airbnb in cities like Amsterdam and San Francisco, where the local authorities, they have laws to ensure that owners of some of these homes and houses and whatnot, they don't create housing shortage, right, in some of these places. Very important. And then the third barrier to entry, lack of trust. People don't trust that, in regions where the concept of sharing is new, right? And I get it. I get it if you have trust issues. I completely get it, right? In regions where this concept of sharing is very new, people may be what hesitant to use or to offer sharing services because they are unsure of the safety or reliability of their asset or resource, right? But hey, just find a way. If I have the time sometime in our series, I'll definitely lay down a framework, a model where you can you can guide some of it. If there are no local laws that guide some of this, sharing things that we are talking about, you can sort of devise and come up with your own framework, infrastructure to guide some of these things. How people will rent from you, how they'll return it, if they need to put some money down as a deposit, whatever. There are some framework that we can create around this. There are opportunities here for new entrants. Guys, we are just warming up. We are just warming up. Newcomers have plenty of what opportunities. Newcomers have plenty of opportunities, right? In the sharing economy, as it's still growing rapidly, whether it is renting out a spare room or Airbnb or sharing a car on Turo. There's a platform over here in the United States called Turo. For those my American folks watching me, Turo, or offering skills on tax rabbit. The flexibility of sharing economy means that anyone with something to offer can what? Participate. So many people in developing regions are now using this platform to create new income streams. I think Nigeria, Kenya, they are way ahead of some of the African countries. They are way ahead. Um, of course, there are challenges in the sharing economy as well. Some of the key challenges in the sharing economies include one, regulations, where I talk about a city like San Francisco. Cities and government are trying to figure out how to regulate some of these things out there. Of course, competition. See, as the sharing economy also grows, so does the competition, right? Making it harder for newcomers to get noticed on popular platforms, right? So get in early. Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't be a late adapter, right? The last time, I think day 3, I talk about early adapters and late adapters. Early adapters, they get in, they hear information, they start going. Late adapters, they are pessimists. They're thinking about it. Oh, how about this? How about this? If this happen, if this happen, if this happen. By the time they get in or they jump in about 5 years time, the market is already gone. It's already saturated, right? We need to be early adapters, guys. We need to be early adapters. And then trust and safety issues, of course. Of course, to be succeeding in this, guys, you need to have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit, right? The sharing economy rewards people who are productive, who are proactive, right? Who are productive and think like entrepreneur, because you're going to be a business person. Nobody is going to time you for coming to work. You got to be able to be out there selling your stuff out there, selling your services out there, put yourself out there so that people can know what you are capable of, right? So if you're thinking like an employee, a staff, you're not going to thrive in this environment, right? You will not thrive in this space. You will not be successful in this space. All right. Bernard says, "What is my share?" Yes, sir. What is our share? We need our share. We need our share of the cake, right? All right. Flexibility, the ability to adapt to changing conditions and demand is crucial. Reliability is key as well. Building a strong reputation and sharing platform depends on providing consistent, high quality services. Guys, you got to be reliable if you want to succeed, if you want to be successful in this space. You cannot offer one thing today and then tomorrow they call you, you are not available. The next day they call you, you're going for funeral. The other day you are at a wedding, so you can't deliver a service. No, consistency is key, right? You got to be consistent. If it's 6 a.m., you post your things. Make sure 6 a.m. you post your stuff on your WhatsApp, right? If 6 a.m. is when you're open for business, 6 a.m. you're open for business. Don't let people come and then they'll be waiting forever before business can start, right? No. If you say your business hours is 9 a.m., let it be 9 a.m. So that doesn't mean you don't show up at 9. That means you are there by 8:15, 8:30 to set up things. So by 9 o'clock, when the doors open, customers are getting in, right? Consistency, high quality service, very important. People are going to depend on you, to get things done. So reliability, you've got to be somebody who is reliable. And communication skill, you will often be dealing with directly with customers. So clear and friendly communication is key, right? So you got to be somebody who can communicate. You really got to be able to articulate, things in a concise, in a way that everybody can understand. Very important, right? Everybody should be able to understand. So what are the steps to participate in the sharing economy, as we talk about? So here are maybe some few steps. Maybe, I don't know, maybe next week I can take a deep dive into that. So number one is that identify your asset. Is it a car, a home, a skill, a tool, equipment, whatever, right? Identify your asset. Number two is what? Choose a platform, guys. Number two is what? Choose a platform. It can be Airbnb, Uber, Turo, TaxRabbit, and whatnot. Skillshare, whatever. Number three, create a profile, right? Number three, you got to be able to create a profile. So highlight your offering, set a fair pricing, right? As you set up, you create a profile, you need to be able to put what you are capable of doing, your package, the pricing and everything, right? And let it be fair. When everybody is doing it at $10, don't go and say, you'll be doing this at $45, right? No, set it at the fair pricing, guys, so that you can attract, business, right? And understand the rules. Number four, understand the rules. Understand the rules. Research the regulations and platform for these platform specific guidelines, right? Research it. The next one is that start small. Take on your first customer or guest, right? Start small. Start small. Build trust. And that's the next point. Build trust. Deliver excellent service to earn positive reviews. As you deliver good services, they'll begin to refer their friends. You'll begin to refer people to come to you, right? And then the last one is what? Scale up. So as you've done all the things that I've just mentioned, now you've gained momentum. Now you can what? Scale up. You can expand, right? That is what comes up next. Are there any technical skills or soft skills needed in the sharing economy? The skills needed to thrive in the share economy, technical skills, just understand how to just use apps. I always use this as a litmus test. If you're able to operate a WhatsApp app, right? For some of you, once you're able to operate a WhatsApp app, I think you are good to go, right? So if you can operate any app, manage online bookings, process digital payment, that's it. And then there's soft skills, right? Soft skills that is needed: customer service, problem solving, time management, basic things like that. Then I know you guys, and I know you guys got all this skill set, right? What are the revenue model? How do you make money? On when it comes to the sharing economy, how do you make money? So the revenue models in the sharing economy vary depending on the platform and service, right? So some of them are commission based, right? Commission based. What does that mean? So that means that it's a percentage of each transaction, right? Commission based. Some of them is a rental income. So home sharing platforms generate income by renting the properties, right? Some of them is service fee, right? Tax-based platforms like TaxRabbit allow users to charge specific services with a platform and then taking a cut, right? So service fee, right? So get to know the revenue model as well. You don't need a lot of money to start in this sharing economy, guys. You don't need a lot of money. You don't need to go and borrow from the bank. You don't need to have $1 million. You don't need to, break the bank for this. We don't have to do that, guys. We don't. You don't need a lot of money to do this. If you have an asset, like we mentioned, you can immediately begin using platforms, some of these platforms, right? In emerging market, some people have started with nothing by renting assets themselves and resharing them on this platform to create business, right? The also succeeding in the sharing economy depends on several factors, including the quality of the service, right? Your location and ability to market yourself, right? So, if you're going to deliver poor services and, if you're not going to deliver, quality services, then I can bet you're going to fail with this, right? While there's competition, I mentioned competition earlier, the flexibility of sharing economy allows anyone with a shareable asset, right? You need to have a shareable asset or a skill to find a niche and succeed, especially in regions where sharing economy is still what growing. So, guys, this brings us to day 6, the end of today's session on sharing economy. So, whether you are looking to earn extra income or access goods or services more flexibly, right? The sharing economy offers exciting new opportunities, guys. But understanding the key traits, the platforms, and regulations, anyone, regardless of location, can thrive in this new economic landscape, guys. Opportunity becomes us, right? Opportunity is knocking at our doors. We got to open it. We got to let opportunity in. So, from the ancient battering system to global digital platforms, the sharing economy has come a long way. It has changed how we think about ownership, guys. So, how we access good services and how we work today, it is changing. I hope you guys got something out of this. Next week, we will be talking about the creative economy. Next week, we're going to be talking about the creative economy. So, guys, don't miss out. Next week, there's so much for us to unpack in the creative economy as well, right? So many things I've seen happening in the industry. So many things as well with digital platforms, etc. So many things for all of us to learn, and hopefully, we can make something work in wherever you find yourself. All right. Thank you, guys. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to share this broadcast. Don't be greedy. I do not want us to be greedy, right? We need to share. We need to bring our people up. I said something on Facebook the other day that we become better, as we lift others up, right? As we lift others up, we become better. And for those of you who want to hang around and not be sleeping, I think I have another presentation in an hour's time at 8 o'clock, right? I might broadcast it here later on, or I might broadcast it on Facebook, but it's going to be on my church platform. I'm going to be talking about cyber evangelism. I'm going to be sharing on cyber evangelism. I'm going to be talking about how technology, can become a tool, right? Can become a tool, how the church can thrive using digital platforms and digital technology to sort of democratize the gospel. We need to democratize the gospel. The gospel is not for it's not a privilege of a select few, and I think one of the ways that we can share the good news. If you're a Christian, we can share the gospel. It's going to be by technology. We're not going to be able to go to every single village and town, right? But technology will allow us. So I'm going to be on that presentation in about an hour's time, or at 8 o'clock. So for those of you watching, you can be on PRWC Atlanta, Facebook page and YouTube. And I'm also going to be broadcasting under my Facebook name as well. So watch out for that. Cyber evangelism presentation that's coming up in about an hour time. I'm going to be presenting to the church on this. So if you want to learn, if you desire to learn so that you can also share the gospel using some of these digital platforms, you are welcome to do that. But next week, we're going to be talking about the creative economy. We're going to be talking about the creative economy. Thank you all, guys. Please share this broadcast. Make sure this broadcast is a blessing. Let's make it a blessing. Share to somebody. Bless somebody with this. Your school groups, your friends, your family. Let's get the word out there, guys. Let's get the word out there. We don't want to be greedy. Let's share it so that everybody we know will be informed and we can all grow up. Somebody said something. Let me end with that. He said there is less jealousy. There is less greediness. There is less by biting when the whole team, when we are all winning, right? I think this is a good one, right? There is less jealousy. There is less envy. There is less by biting. There's less of everything evil. Let me put it that way, right? There is less of everything evil when the whole team, the whole pack, when we are all winning together. So, be a blessing to somebody. Share this to somebody. Say, hey, I want you to know this. Whatever you are doing, whatever industry you find yourself in, there is something that you can even do more by, learning some of this, digital, platform information that, are being shared on some of these, broadcasts. All right. Thank you, guys. God bless you. And for those of you that will be on the cyber evangelism, I will see you guys soon. For those of you that will not be on that cyber evangelism broadcast, I will see you next week on the creative economy. All right. Thank you guys. Good night to you wherever you are. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. And thanks for watching. I put on the wrong stuff. I will do a lot of presenting. All right.